Welcome to the Growth Gap podcast, where we turn stuck into unstoppable. I'm your host, Aslam Khatri, entrepreneur, author, and your guide to bridging the gap between where you are and where you are meant to be. Let's dive in. Before we grow, before we step into our new season of life, of leadership, and love, we must unlearn the habits that have kept us going but are stopping us and holding us back from thriving. You see, we create habits that continue to live with us. Some of them are good, but some of them they just become old and they become outdated. Some need to be weeded out. And as much as we talk about, always talking about as to what we should be doing and how new habits should be formed, we should truly look at the old habits that we created from our childhood. And today, that's what I want to discuss. I want to discuss about things that deceive ourselves. There's this one bad habit that holds us back. It's sneaky. It looks like it's a wisdom, but truly it is holding us back. And that is when we are in self-deception. When we are in self-deception mode. Hi, I'm Aslam Khatri. Welcome to the Growth Gap. This is where we talk about all of our experiences. This is where we talk about our success. This is where we talk about what is holding us back and what does it take for us to really fill that particular gap. Before I start telling you about the self-deception and how it puts us into a very difficult situation most of the time, I would have a simple request. I ask that you subscribe to my channel so that I can continue to bring to you more of this type of articles. The self-deception is so sneaky. It is so fast. It basically holds us back from doing, or it just moves us into a situation where it becomes so difficult for us to get out. So how do we do this? Now, let me tell you my own story of building an empire and then seeing it crumbling down right in front of my own eyes. You see, I was working as in a leadership position for a large corporation, the company that I helped build to become an international company. But then I had much more aspirations, so I left that job to start my own company. And I started to build and I started to acquire companies. The whole idea was to acquire the companies, put them together, and then once they are together in the same field, it will become a large corporation. I was going fast. I had all the financing available. I had the experience in mergers and acquisitions. So I was doing very well. And things were going extremely well for me. Things were going very, very fast. But then there was this small voice in my head that just kept on saying, perhaps I'm going too fast. That perhaps it needs to be looked into. So what do? I turn to my advisors and I ask them a question. The same advisors who had everything to gain by me acquiring more companies. So I asked them, I said, what do you folks think? And they all told me one thing. They said, wow, you're doing great. Just continue to do it. Keep on going. Keep on pushing it, because this is what the business plan is, and you're doing the business plan. Well, I heard what I wanted to hear. See, these people, they had their interest in me going on, but I didn't realize that. So what happened is, very shortly after that, the businesses were growing fast, but it couldn't sustain itself. The combinations, the putting together of the business, the operations just could not sustain itself. And what happened is, eventually all the businesses failed and left me in an extremely difficult season of my life. Even though I stepped back, and even though I did much better afterwards, but it holded me back. And it was the most difficult time. But you see, I did what everybody who goes through self-deception, I put myself in that situation, because it's not what they wanted to tell me, it's what I wanted to listen. And I listened to them. So self-deception is when we start to believe that we cannot do wrong. And then, to make things worse, what we do is we have other people validate our situation, like I did in this particular case. And what happens then is, when we start to look at it from a point of view which is not the truth, we start to we obscure the truth. We put ourselves in a box. And as the box, this is almost like putting blinders on. And in the box, you cannot see the truth. You cannot see what's going on. So you live within that lie, and you live with that box. Now, that box gets smaller every day, because your troubles start to increase, but you don't want to listen to them. And you see, we all have heard these things. My exam was too hard because it was an unfair exam, not because I did not prepare myself. When people criticize you, you say, well, they're just jealous. I mean, you've heard all these things. We've heard all these stories where we think it was always somebody else's fault. We blame other people because we feel that we are doing right. It's a self-deception. It's the self-deception that we live in. But it is the kind that slowly kills you. This is the kind that slowly takes you to the failure, because you know it. Deep down, you know it. And yet we go on. We go on because we feel that maybe by a miracle we'll come out. Or maybe we've gone too far. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to talk about. The self-deception, the lies that we tell ourselves. Not to other people. These are the lies we tell ourselves. We tell these lies within. We cajole them. We work them on a different basis. We find excuses. Always looking for an excuse, saying, maybe, you know what, tomorrow something else will happen that'll make it better. But we know deep down that these are lies. We know deep down that these are the deceptions, that this is the deception that we are giving it to ourselves. You see, self-deception does not come with any whistles and bells. It just comes in and it just becomes a part of our life. And that's one of the deadliest habits that we can form within ourselves. But now, how do we get rid of it? What do we do that'll make it different? What do we do that can get out of it? In my case, as much as I I basically got out of this because to me it was very easy to see as to how uncomfortable I was. I could feel that I was uncomfortable, yet I chose to go out and have those people validate me, the ones who had their own skin in the game. And so the first thing that I did was, after the disaster that had happened, I made sure that I always take an advice of somebody who does not have anything to gain in what I am doing. Because that's the important thing. You must speak to the people who are outside of your orbit. Now, that could be a consultant, that could be your therapist, that could be your mentor, the ones who do not have a direct interest in what you're doing. So that's the first thing that needs to be done. The second thing that I failed to do, and I do that now on a regular basis, is consult yourself. Because the most important person, your body tells you, your gut tells you what's going on. Had I consulted, I knew, but I did not take time to consult my own body. Now, how do you do that? You take time. Take time one day a week where you sit down with pen and paper, and you sit down and you discuss it with yourself. You look at it and you say, am I doing the right thing, or am I just going on? Are people telling me the right thing? What is their interest? And once you do that, you find that that is of a great help. Because body doesn't lie. Even though your mind can deceive you, your body will not lie. You will know it. So if you're mindful, if you know that this is what's going on, then you will catch yourself. And perhaps you will catch yourself before it is too late, before you start blaming other people. And the third thing that I knew yet I ignored was the pre-mortem. When you make a business plan, the business plan that I made, I knew it was charged up. I knew it was a very strong business plan. But I chose to go with it instead of asking myself a question, what if something can go wrong? But I tried to ignore it. I ignored it because to me, this was something that will just go on, that it will render me what I'm looking for. But it doesn't happen sometimes. So you need to be, because my friends, the self-deception is a very, very quiet. It's very deadly. It comes from nowhere and then it attacks you. Because once you're doing something, once you're busy with something, you feel that, this is just a small bump in the road. But without thinking what is going to happen next. So it is the most important thing to realize as to what needs to be done when we're going into this situation. So I hope you understood my point, and I hope you can turn around and ask yourself a question. Is there something that I am deceiving myself with? What is the reality? How do you audit that? How do you check yourself? Go back, sit down, and see where are you fooling yourself. And that's a challenge. Take that as a challenge, and reach out to me if you need to. But we can talk about it and we can discuss it further. But it's really as simple as just talking to yourself. In a Harvard study, they found that 70% of the people rated themselves as above average. Now, by all the methods, they know that only 50% could have been, which means that 20% basically just rated themselves because they were fooling themselves. And that becomes the most biggest obstacle in your life when you are in a situation where you think you can just ride the tide, that you are smarter than the other people, that if something is going wrong, it's somebody else's fault but not yours. But truly, you need to look into it. Truly, you need to see. After that a great shock that went through in my life, I have been extremely mindful of that. I always think about it as to where am I fooling myself? And trust me, we all do. We all do. We just need to catch ourselves. And once we catch it, then things just get better. It gets better not only in business, but in our personal life, in our leadership, in our friendships, and in all areas of our lives. So that's the message for today. I hope you have gained something from this, and if you like it, and if you know there's somebody else who can use this, please show it to them. And please subscribe to my channel so I can bring you more of this stuff. This is Aslam Khatri saying bye for now. Thanks for tuning into the Growth Gap podcast. If you're serious about growing, don't just listen, apply. Subscribe, rate, and review. Share this with someone who's ready to level up. I'll catch you next week. Keep going. You got this.